Real Deal Love, Edward Johnson. Sit back and relax while we give you advice and tips on business matters and matters of the heart for busy executives. And now, Katrina and Edward. Hello. This is Katrina Brittingham, your navigator on your road to success. And guess what time it is on High Tea with me? It is the business of love. Yeah. Where we get our love life together so we can have that balance when it comes to work and alleviate that stress as a busy executive or a business owner. So, as I say in the intro, kick back and relax, and we're going to hand it over to Dr. Love.
All right, I am excited. Hello tonight. How are you? How's everybody doing? Miss Katrina, how was your day today?
Busy.
Busy?
Yes.
Good. That's good. That's good. Good. But it was nothing you couldn't handle.
Of course not, because
All right,
God never
okay.
gives you more than you can handle.
More than you can handle. Like one lady said, well, God must think I'm pretty strong. Her plate was loading up. But tonight is it's a great night. I have a great topic for tonight, and I hope you're ready for it. And I was just thinking how I wanted to introduce this. So I'll do it this way: love and life is fun. Then
Love
I thought
and life
about
is
it:
fun.
love and life is fun.
Hmm.
Now I thought about it, and if we separate it, we say love is fun. It's just fun. Then you say, I said I was going to put it like this here: life and love supposed to be fun. So if we say supposed to be, then we could be saying it ain't. So it is. And
Yes.
if you're not experiencing it exactly on those terms or as you would want to do, tune in tonight. Stay connected, and we're going to get you where you need to be. Okay?
Yes.
We're going to get you where you need to be. All right? So I'm going to start out with a scripture. All right? Proverbs 20:6. Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness, but a faithful man who can find.
Hmm. Wow.
I thought that was good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every man, it says one translation said, every man will talk about how merciful he is,
Mm-hmm.
how good he is,
Mm-hmm.
but a faithful man who can find. All
A
right?
faithful one.
A faithful. All right, I'm gonna give it to you one more time in another translation. It says, a good man keeps a good no, that's not the one I want. Here it is. Most men will talk a great deal of their charity, hospitality, and their piety. But it is hard to find those that really are kind, literally, that
Literally.
have that have done more than they really care to be spoken of.
Mm-hmm.
That will be true of friends and strangers. So, a faithful man who can find.
That's right. A faithful man who can find.
Who can find?
Mm-hmm.
I, I really wanted to pick up and kind of like move into correcting some of that energy that one of my, I guess, what would we call him? We call him a colleague, a constituent, someone in the business. The term he would use is a high valued man.
Mm.
That's the term. One of his shows that someone sent to me, and I looked at a part of it, and one of the ladies was saying, I am interested in finding a high valued man.
That's the buzzword.
Okay, a high valued man. Well, let me say this. You can look until the world ends, and you will not find a high valued man. Okay. See, Proverbs talk about who can find a virtuous woman, for her price is far beyond rubies.
Rubies. Mm-hmm.
Now we're talking about value. Because when it comes down to the woman, she is the one of value.
Mm-hmm.
See, value. No matter where she's at, no matter what she has, no matter what she does, no matter what she hasn't accomplished, a woman is the value.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? When it comes down to the man is not, what can I say? He's not regarded, he's not respected, he's not looked on for his value.
Mm-hmm.
He's looked on his faithfulness and his integrity. See, when you're faithful, that's integrity. Committed, committed to. So it says, who can find a committed man?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a man of commitment. So that's the reason it's important to really start to talk about if your relationship is not fun, there may be some resistance on the line. There may be some things that you're not really sure of or clear on. And the man is valued by his integrity. The woman is the value.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, in saying that, I was at an event and Ed Johnson, aka Dr. Love, that's Dr. The Real Deal Love, because I give women the real deal. Lady said, what do you do, Dr. Love? I said, I rescue men by empowering women.
Mm-hmm.
She said, Dr. Love, why don't you rescue the women and empower the men? We need to be rescued. That was her thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dr. Love has thought this thing long and hard. I've been at it for years. I've been contemplating. I've been praying. I've been fasting. I mean, you name it, I've been doing it. So I don't want to say something that ain't true and it's not accurate and won't endure the test of time. So when we talk about rescuing men and empowering women, see, men don't need to be empowered. He's all powerful. He's powerful. He needs to be rescued from misusing and misrepresenting himself and his power and his influence in her life. Okay? The woman doesn't need to be rescued. She's good. Okay? Women has to be empowered. She has to be empowered for the rescue. All
Okay.
right? You with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Now, why does she have to be empowered for the rescue? It's just like the other side. We talk about business and we talk about love. In business, when you set a goal and you hit your goal, more important than accomplishing the goal, the most important thing is who you become in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The same things and the same challenges we had when we were in our first 2, 3 years of business, give us 5 years in, not the same businesswoman,
Mm-hmm.
not the same businessman, because it's
Mm-hmm.
who you become.
Right.
Okay. So to the woman, she is indeed the most advanced thinker between the two. Okay, when it comes down to the woman and the man, the way she thinks, how she thinks, her ability to think,
Mm-hmm.
the strategies in which she thinks is so far advanced compared to the man.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me just say this. It's not that the man cannot think
Mm-hmm.
on those levels and in those terms, but biologically, she starts thinking and processing and manipulating and restructuring and calculating with her mind at such an early age, way before men. It's biological.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So her thinking is way out there, and they gave a number on it. It could be less, it could be a little bit more, but they say a woman is actually 10 years ahead of a man in her thinking and her maturity level and her ability to produce and provide. So when she gets out there, she's moving and shaking, she's blowing and going. But now the man, he's not quite at that point yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's where we run into a situation. She's up there doing everything she needs to do, carrying on like she needs to carry on, succeeding in so many areas. And the man is traveling and progressing so far behind her. Now she's going to do either one or two things. She's going to stay out there and keep moving and progressing, or she's going to slow down in hopes that he catch up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she's going to she's going to slow down that he might catch up. Okay, So that's where uh, Dr. Love comes in, because I want to make sure that I'm clear that one of the things that I like to establish in the relationship between man and a woman is erecting a ladder so that you and him can enter and exit each other's lives successfully.
Mm-hmm.
See, oftentimes you enter into each other's lives, but when it comes time to exit, honey, mm, mm, the sleepless nights, the crying, the upset, not able to focus on the other half of your life, simply because the entrance and the exit wasn't really strategized.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't strategic. So when we look at that, the fun part of it, with her being so far ahead, she has a tendency to do. And what about us men? We have a tendency to let her do. So that's why when I talk with one young lady, I said, I rescue men by empowering women. She said, Dr. Love, she said, I don't have time. She said, I don't have time to rescue no man. She said, I need to rescue myself. I don't, she said, I don't have time to do the rescue. I said, oh, I said, you're misunderstanding the rescue. The rescue is not something that you do, it's someone that you become.
Mm.
See, I want I want to really emphasize tonight, in the relationship, the narrative has to change. And for the woman, the relationship and the narrative has to change in this regard. I want her to begin to stop saying, what do I have to do in this relationship? And ask the question, who do I need to become
Mm.
in the relationship? Because if you're willing to put down your doing and move into your becoming, who you become will do everything that needs to be done.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's that's the man's. See, now the man, we want to get him to understand the doing. See, now that's where the rubber meets the road. What do I what do I need to do for this woman of mine? What do I need to do for this young lady that I'm dating? What do you need to do? Okay. See, so the best thing you could offer her is faithfulness. Okay. Say, wow. See, that's the difference. Is to begin to say the narrative that has been going on between man and woman. She got to keep She gonna keep doing and doing and doing and doing and doing. She gonna keep doing and doing and doing and doing and doing. Honey, you don't have to do. We want you to be. And as you move out into being, you increase his doing. All right. That was the thing. That was the thing that I shared in class, and I just like to, remind you and reiterate that fact is when do you get in and help him? When do you get in? When do you get in and work and aid and help? He doesn't need the aid. He doesn't need your help. He doesn't need you to bail him out. What he needs is to be inspired.
Mm-hmm.
See, you being the inspiration, you inspire him to do. So that's a good narrative to change, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be his inspiration. You don't have
So,
to you don't have to do inspiration. You have to be
so
inspiration.
how does a woman accomplish that?
How does she accomplish what?
Being a man's inspiration. Cause that it sounds good and everything. How do you put that into practice?
Okay. One of the things that is important, and I'm going to start with one of my quotes, and then I'm going to back into that answer. Never underestimate what a man notices about you. Never underestimate what a man notices about you. Now, when we talk about what does a woman need to do in order to become, the most important thing, and we talk about it all the time, the number one relationship in the world is man and woman coming together. The most important relationship is your relationship with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Most important. And by saying that, the next question is, what is your inner conversation about you? What is your inner conversation about you? That that's huge. Now let me just get this out here, Miss Katrina, because we don't talk about this often, and it's something that you kind of feel kind of bad talking about it, but we have to talk about it because it's true, and I'm the real deal.
Okay. Before you do
Okay.
that, it is the
Yes.
half of the hour. We're gonna
Really?
break for commercial. Yes, it is.
Dang.
Time always flies when you're having fun. We're gonna break for commercial. We'll be back in 30 seconds, and then we're gonna pick up from where we left off.
Okay.
From one-on-one executive coaching to our business building concierge service, Venture Ready helps entrepreneurs, startup executives, and business owners build, scale, and run their businesses using techniques that support stability and long-term growth. Through the Career GPS radio show and High Tea with Me TV program, we promote smart business strategies for the real world. Then, in our one-on-one coaching programs, we help entrepreneurs go beyond the vision board to realize their big vision into a tangible business with a promising future. If you're waiting to feel legit, here's the thing: you have to legitimize yourself. It's time to stop treating your business like a hobby. Get real, it's your career. So let me ask you, are you venture ready?
So, are you venture ready? I think that's appropriate for business and for love. Are you ready for that venture? Because trust me, it is a venture. Both
It's
of
a
those
venture.
things are ventures. So we're going to pick up where we left off. I just wanted to preference, because I normally say it in the beginning of the show. If you see me looking at this way, this is actually another screen. I hear everything Dr. Love is saying, so I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring him. But I'm checking the many different places that we are streaming to. Number one, to make sure that it's streaming. And number two, if you have any questions or comments, we can answer your questions and comment as need be. You may even get acknowledged. Some places that we post doesn't come through our platform. We can't pull the comments out. So, I want to make sure that everyone gets heard and we acknowledge it. So that's what I'm doing. Um,
Well, I'm glad you're doing that, Miss Katrina, because I couldn't handle all that. So I thank God for you.
so that I just wanted people to know, because especially today, I was, back and forth, and I actually caught myself in how many times I was doing like this. So I was like, I don't want people to think
Hmm.
that I am not present, because I am present.
Hmm.
I comment in even while I'm doing all of that. Where warranted. So we're going to let him answer the question that I so brilliantly
Okay.
asked him.
And what was that question again, Miss Katrina?
It was, how does a woman become a man's inspiration? And I'm going to preface that with another part. How does a woman know when she is inspiring?
Mm, that's good. That's good. And we're gonna probably wind up picking that up on the next love topic. But let me get into it this way. One of the things that we need to get on the table and we need to discuss, because it's part of the equation. There are women out there who are in relationships, out of relationships, or looking to enter into relationship. But her challenge that she has is there are women out there that don't have a great relationship with her mother. We don't talk a lot about that. But there are some women out there. Sometimes it's not that I don't have a good relationship with my mother. Some women have a tormenting relationship with their mother, where it's like growing up, the only thing my mother did was kind of like make me doubt myself, make me question myself, not really give me the peace that I needed within. See, we talk about all the good mothers, and we got some wonderful mothers out there. But we have some women that have mothers that didn't give them what so many other mothers have given their children. Okay. It just so happens my mother's mother passed when she was 7. So my mother grew up from 7 to 87 without her mother. And Miss Katrina, you know, a motherless child does what? See a hard way to go.
I was say, 'cause I'm not a motherless child, so I don't know the answer to that.
See, that's what I'm saying. See, we had our mothers, okay? But the woman that doesn't have her mother in her life in a winning position, her inner conversation is just self-doubt, unfulfillment. Am I worthy of a successful relationship? Am I worthy of a man treating me this way? Am I worthy to be, as we as one of my favorite endings of the story, and they lived happily ever after. I love that ending. Every woman doesn't have that. So when it comes down to your inner conversation, is what are you saying about you? And I want you to know the first round of your inner conversation is what your mother and father programmed into you. They told us about ourselves. They set the foundation for what we think of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the responsibility, once we become of age, is to begin to shift our paradigm, begin to shift our self-limiting beliefs, begin to shift the doubt that someone may have put in us or our family may have put in us. All we've got to begin to divorce. This is a good time for divorce. To divorce all of those negatives that people, family, friends, society has placed on us. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason I put that out there, is because when a woman is not on top of her mental, her inner conversation, he knows it.
Okay, so if he knows that, how does that affect the inspiration to him? Because, and I ask that because there are some men, some that I know personally, who have
Mm,
gotten into successful relationships with motherless women, fatherless women, that may have had a lower self esteem.
mm,
And I'm asking this because you have women who don't have those issues as well, who have a hard time getting in a relationship.
mhm,
So I think it still comes down to how does that affect how you inspire a man? Because again, we've talked about this before. Every man's not the same.
mhm,
Some men can go in there and help lift that woman up. But then you have women who have a great inner dialogue that are struggling as well. And so I do think it comes down to knowing if you have inspired that guy, or knowing how to, because you have some
mhm,
women who have a mother and a father and still don't know how to inspire a man.
mhm, mhm. That's such an excellent point, because the answer is becoming. Who have you become? Regardless to what you didn't get or all that you do have. Okay. So it's the becoming. And that's so important, to really start to getting into a single mindedness about your personal relationship. See, we oftentimes talk about men do this. Well, you're only one person. You only need to have a conversation about one man. You're only one man. You only need to have a conversation about one woman. What is the dialogue between me and my woman? So, as you said, Miss Katrina, there are some men out there who will see the deficiency and look to bring it up, make up the difference, not to take advantage of. But the faithfulness we talked about, who can find a faithful man? We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When it comes down to that particular incident, that's not a norm. Okay.
No, it's not.
It's not a norm. Okay. But it does happen. Okay. So, what I really want to be the takeaway from this is to begin to understand and be aware of your inner conversation, the fullness thereof or the lack thereof of your own self-esteem, your own opinion of yourself, not an inflated opinion of yourself, but a healthy opinion of yourself. And the work that you put in to know that you bring everything necessary to the table. And let me say this: women inspire men right out the gate. Isn't that interesting?
Hmm.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna tell it to you like this here. If men are playing basketball and a woman walks up, it's over. It's over. I mean, you're gonna see these men play at another level than than they were playing at before that woman showed up. That's that's just the effect that women have. And you know what's so interesting about that? They may not even know her. They don't even know her name. They just know a woman showed up and I don't want to look a certain way in her eye. Isn't that
Okay.
interesting? I don't want, you hear what he said? He don't even know her. He says, I don't want to look a certain way in her eyes.
So that plays through to the relationship. If you're inspiring a man, he does not want you to see him in a negative light.
That's that's the start of it. Okay. He doesn't he doesn't want you to see him in a negative light. That's the start. However, as you know, men and women coming together is a natural energy and it's wonderful. But staying together and thriving, it doesn't stay that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's the reason it doesn't stay that way. Because he notices things and he begins to respond oftentimes in an unfavorable manner. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The woman notices things, but that's the reason I like empowering the woman because she notices things as well. But her nurturing nature causes us to say, it's not that bad. I can work with him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that bad. I'll overlook it. This happened badly, but it may not happen again. Okay. This is her nurturing nature.
Mm-hmm.
The man hasn't developed that nurturing nature for the most part. As you talked about it, there are men who develop that nurturing nature. That's why I said at the very beginning, uh, the only difference between a man and woman is the level of their development, psychologically, emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
So the woman, with her advanced thinking, has the ability and the experience to begin to work with herself so that she can nurture, work with, overcome some of the challenges that he presents.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, that's not reciprocated in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when I hear in the counseling sessions, what's really going on is like he's not he's not doing, he's not saying, and it goes on and on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the goal is always to empower her to rescue him from misrepresenting himself and her life and in the relationship. And what does that look like? What is the fallout in that? The fallout in that would be this here. He's not showing up powerfully in the areas that she need him to. Okay. He's not putting in the work so that she feels a sense of comfort that he's there for her unconditionally. Okay. So that's when the relationship begins to go lopsided because she's doing more than she should. She's giving more than she should. And she's not getting nearly enough of what she deserves. Okay. So, in taking the first steps to that question, is women inspire men. You can walk in the presence of two men and you inspire him, but not in one way, and that's the start. That's to speak to you politely and in a kind manner. Okay, that's just the way it goes. A real funny story. I was at the hospital visiting. My wife had delivered one of our children, and I said I'm gonna go down and get something to eat at the cafeteria. So I'm standing there in the cafeteria. I'm like, what do I want to eat? I'm looking at the menus. I'm looking down, and I don't know what I'm gonna get. So three pretty ladies come down, and they're laughing and they're talking, and they said, "You know what we're gonna have?" They ordered their sandwich, and they said, "And we want some French fries." So here's what he says to them. He said, "I'm going to put some French fries in so y'all will have hot French fries." So now he goes to the bag, he pulls out these potatoes, he puts them in the strainer, and he drops them in. And the fries are on. I'm like, wow, hot French fries. Now I done made up my mind on what I'm going to have. I told him, I said, I'm gonna have some French fries because they're gonna be hot when they come out. You know what he did, Miss Katrina? He went to the old French fries that was laying in the tray. The old French fries that was laying in the tray, because there was some old French fries laying in there. Because he already told them girls, I'm gonna make y'all some hot ones. I'm not gonna give y'all the ones laying in the tray. You know what he did? He went and got me a bag full of those French fries laying in the tray.
Because they weren't for you. The hot ones.
You see inspiration? They inspired, just coming into the cafeteria, they inspired him to give them the best French fries. We ain't even talking about love right now. We just talking about some potatoes and some hamburgers and some hot dogs. Right in the cafeteria, they inspired him. He said, "Girls, I don't want y'all to have just any French fries. I want y'all to have French fries that are hot, out of the grease, dripped dry, salted lightly, and served with love." Lord. He came and gave me those fries. I said, "Excuse me, brother." I said, "Excuse me." Here's what I said. This is what I said to Miss Katrina. I said, "I know I'm not as pretty as them girls, but I'm gonna wait for some of them hot fries. Leave those fries in there, throw them away, but I ain't getting no those fries. You get my point?
Mm-hmm.
They inspired him right out the gate.
Mm.
So in my title, when I say I'm going to inspire her for the rescue, because once she begins to understand and know, just the fact that she came in and ordered French fries, he's on his best performance.
Mm.
All she did was order French fries. She ain't gave up a phone number. Ain't nobody made googly eyes. We in the cafeteria, and he's performing. And if we don't inspire her, if we don't inform her, his performance will start to drop because he notices, hmm, something missing. Something, something's lacking. Why? Because some of the things I'm really supposed to do, she's not requiring me to do them. Is that helping you any, Miss Katrina?
It it
I'm a,
it
I'm a,
it
go
is.
ahead.
Um,
But
because when I'm thinking about what was said, okay, women will inspire men to perform their best even if they don't know them. Like if they're playing an athletic sport, coming into a cafeteria, but in a relationship, you're past the introduction stage.
mhm,
So how are you inspiring the person that you're with after that initial hello? Because
mhm,
the issue wasn't that they weren't inspired to approach this young lady because
mhm,
they always do. That's a spark of inspiration just to say, hey, I want to get to know her a little bit better because it's something about her.
mhm,
This is without him not knowing anything about her.
mhm,
So when it comes to, all right, now we're in a relationship because we're in a relationship, you know my faults, you know my strengths, you're still around. So the weaknesses didn't chase you out the door. Um, how are you inspiring this person in a relationship? Because the reason for the breakups of the relationship we were talking about is the lack of inspiration. So you have to get past that initial, all right, she sparked my interest. Because I don't necessarily see it as inspiration as much as interest
mhm,
when they're initially walking up to you because they don't know anything about you,
mhm,
you know? Um, so they know you're in a relationship, they know enough about you to know they want to be in a relationship, get married, move in, that type of thing. So how is it that you get past because now it's not just your presence, just you walking in the room and now all of a sudden they're inspired.
mhm,
How do you achieve that in a relationship once you're in it and maintain it?
mhm, mhm. Boy, that that's such a good question, and I like what you were saying in there, and I want to just open that up just a little bit. You said we're in a relationship. You saw my faults. You see some of the shortcomings. You see some of those things, but it didn't drive you out the door. That's what I wanted to talk about. Is he really there, or is he out the door? See, just because I'm still here, or just because I'm still interacting with you, doesn't mean I'm really here. Okay, I feel a song coming up, Miss Katrina. Remember a song back in the day. Your body's here with me, but your mind is on the other side of town.
I get that, and I'm asking this because it's not just a question that I have. Okay, so you're at the point where his mind is on the other side of town.
Mm.
My thing is, you had to get to that point. So, are you saying that his inspiration leaves once he realizes that there is an insecurity in you? Because everyone has insecurities, even this man does. Even the best of us and the person with a high self-esteem, there's some insecurity there.
Mm.
And if you're in a relationship with this person sees you every day, they're going to notice that.
Mm.
So are you saying that that's enough to drive the person out the door? And if that
Mm.
is the case, is he really a man that you want to keep?
Mm. Right. And that's good because what happens is in a relationship, oftentimes we stumble forward and we make mistakes. So the problem is not just to make a mistake, it's what kind of mistakes are you making? What kind of mistakes is he making? What kind of mistakes is she making? Okay. See, so that's where the rubber meets the road because if we go in and we start making mistakes and we make a mistake and we make the mistake, we never correct the mistake or we don't talk about the mistake or we're not aware of how detrimental this mistake is, then we get back into the normal narrative. And the normal narrative of a relationship is she will do and he will allow her to do.
I I think we might have to have a part two to this because we are at the top of the hour. Because I'm intrigued by this because this has more layers to it. Because in order to find out what is a heavy mistake with someone, male or female, on both sides, is that it has to be communication. You don't know if it's a heavy mistake unless you've communicated in the beginning this is something they said, or when the mistake occurred there was some communication.
Okay.
So that's one thing. And we have the mistakes versus something that you see in this person, because if somebody has an insecurity, that's not a mistake, that's something that's in them. So those are two different scenarios that I
Hmm.
think that we should maybe delve a little bit more into.
Yeah, and that's good. And just to say this here, if you have an insecurity or if you have a fault, it is a mistake for you to think that you could go on without dealing with the shortcomings or the gaps in your life. See, we all have gaps in our life.
Mm-hmm.
But to think that I have gaps and I'm okay not to address them, not to deal with them, not to improve, not to work with them, that is the mistake.
And that's the third point. Because
Okay.
you can have, just because someone has an insecurity doesn't mean they're not working on it. I'm
Right.
trying to drill down because it's like, okay, well, his mind is out the door because of an insecurity you know about. We talked about you're working on.
Hmm.
Because if we're rescuing men by empowering a woman empowerment comes in different things. Okay,
Hmm.
I have these insecurities. We were working on it and everything like that. I was, I was working on it. They noticed, but then they ran out the door because they like, oh, it's not enough. And then there's their communication about that. Can you not get past this insecurity? Because part of empowerment is for a woman to know a man that is not for her. And what I'm hearing from, okay, what about the insecurity? Oh, the mistake, and this, that, and the third, and this, there's no communication. This person was never for you. And sometimes it's not even about finding the right one, but sifting out the wrong ones. Because
Hmm.
this is more than, and everything like that. And it's for women to have a healthy relationship,
Hmm.
knowing what is it that you can't necessarily fix, because this person sometimes you can have someone, and this is male or female, that will take advantage of your insecurity
True.
and then say, well, I'm here working with you through your insecurity. Well, all the while their mind is down the block to Susie or Joey down the block.
Hmm.
So it's catching those what people call red flags to let
Hmm.
you know that don't put in the work into this because it's not going to end well for you. You're just going to, as you said, overwork yourself,
Hmm.
and and then it's no fruitful outcome to it because the person was just getting themselves together to go down to Susie Jane down the street.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like when I'm trying to drill down to, because there's so many nuances, because you'll have women who feel like, oh, they did something wrong and they don't know what they did wrong. When they were doing all of that, they were doing the work on themselves and things like that. Because you, again, and like I said, you have men and women, but we're talking about women for the purposes of this, of inspiring a man.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to know when you're not going to be able to inspire that man,
Hmm.
and when to break it off. Because a lot of times, yeah, relationships hurt and breakups hurt, but they hurt the most when you've put the most into this relationship
Hmm.
and you were trying to be better. You thought this person was working with you, because again, at the same time, hopefully they working on their faults, and it's not just it's you thing. We're
Hmm.
working together only for the whole time you had this master plan in the back of your mind to
Hmm.
go across town, across country, out of the country, down the block to, Mrs. Smith or Ms. Smith down the street. Like,
Hmm.
so I think that's all a part of having that healthy relationship and finding the right person, because you have to know. You have to be able to pick up on those red flags to know when it's like, okay, I got to cut this because this person is not here. They're not going to be here. I'm doing this work. I'm getting better. I'm strengthening my faults and my insecurities, only for this person to walk out the door. And you have the piece when they do, it still hits, maybe even cause some other insecurities. So,
Hmm.
how to have, because you said to do the work within, yes, some work may need to be done within, but there's some work from without too, and knowing what's going on with that other person standing next to you, make sure you're not sleeping with the enemy.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's
Yep.
it's it's all of that we talked about, great stuff. But having, for those people who have actually consciously done that, constantly done the work on themselves in a relationship as well, and then that person is walking out the door, because from what we were talking here, it's like, oh well, if you do that inner work and you do that, then he'll be there and you'll inspire him. Yeah, but the right one, because you
Hmm.
can do all of that and not have the right person there, and it doesn't matter. That work that you do, it's never going to inspire that person because they're not looking for you.
I mean, you're going to inspire. You're definitely going to inspire him, but as you stated, he may not be the one, or she may not be the one. Okay, so it's important. It's important to understand your greatest and most powerful position is at the beginning, with yourself and your program at least pretty much intact, where you're not looking for her to fulfill the voids in your life, and she's not looking for him to fulfill the voids in her life. It's like, I'm looking for a relationship, and that's how we relate to each other. And before we get to the end where it gets bad and all those things, if you're in touch, if you're turned on, tuned in, tapped into what's really going on, you're not going to fail. You're not going to fail. It doesn't work. As I said, there's exceptions to every rule, but you ain't going to fail. And the relationship is going to do what it needs to do and go where it needs to go when you understand the importance of turned on, tuned in, and tapped into what's really going on. Okay. So that's why I always tell women, don't go anywhere trying to find a man, but be everywhere attracting him. See, don't look for him, feel for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's where that's where you that's where you start to really measuring his faithfulness is in the feeling. Never mind what he says. You'll you'll pick up undercurrents that your intuition will never lead you wrong. But you got to be tuned in. Okay. So you
That
brought up
is
a good
true.
point. You know, you brought up a good point. We got some more layers to unpeel, right?
Yes, and that's what I said. It has to be another show, but I'm just putting those feelers out there, um, because girls chat. So, just this disclaimer: this is not me that I'm asking for. These are questions that I have had discussion
Hmm.
with, and they have come up more than once. So when you said that, I'm like, let me just dig a little bit deeper
Dig a
into
little
this, and
deeper.
we're going
Mm.
to. We are actually over the hour, so we are going to
Ooh.
end the call, and that's what I said. It keeps coming. That's what's like, okay, it has to be a part two. We have to put a pin in that, make a note, and kind of pick up with that, because as a matter of fact, we may continue with that next week. And have that piece in there, because I feel like if we stop, it'll get stale by the time of
Okay.
the next love session.
Okay. Okay.
So let's pick up on that next week, and we will see you then.
Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of High Tea with Me. To be a sponsor or a guest, contact us at info@ventureready.net. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.